Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack.
You know who I can do without? I can do without the people in the video store.
Which ones?
All of them. They never rent quality flicks. They always pick the most intellectually devoid movie on the racks.
And now, on with the show.
Jump back. Twist the bones and bend the back. Here to decapit Malika Mystic.
Back in 1693, the people of Salem, Massachusetts, witches,
Yes?
thought they got rid of the Sanderson sisters for good.
We shall be back.
I banish thee from Salem forever.
They were right to fear thee. Magic has a way of uniting. Happy 16th birthday, child.
I have a gift for my favorite customers. Legend has it, it's on the 16th birthday that a witch gets her powers.
Lock up your children. Yes, Salem, we're back.
Hey guys, what's going on? You are listening to thisweekingeek.net, and welcome out to Loose Cannon, the show that celebrates the big box videos of yesteryear, but maybe they were a modern blockbuster, maybe they were a cult classic, or maybe there's something obscure you might have seen on TV at 3 o'clock in the morning once, maybe, and for some reason Warren Beatty holds the rights to it. Anyway, I'm Mike the Birdman, but I'm not alone as we trek to a Disney classic that takes place in the city of Salem, Massachusetts, and involves Bette Midler, of all people. I'm joined from the great state of Ohio with
David Denoyer.
And of course, it is not Twig without Twig's resident anime dork,
Ken from This Anime, and I was shockingly surprised how much the first one held up.
Yeah, so what we're going to be talking about tonight, guys, as part of our continuing coverage of Halloween and all things spooky and all that sort of bullshit, we're going to be talking about a Hocus Pocus 1 and Hocus Pocus 2. And I will say off the hop here, I like the second one more now that I've seen it more than once. I do have some thoughts, and we'll obviously get to it. So I'm going to give you guys a second to kind of think about this, but we often start these off as, when did we first see these movies? And for Hocus Pocus 1, I was fortunate enough to see this in theaters in the 90s when this originally came out. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this was a late July or August movie, if I'm not mistaken, which I thought was a little weird that they're putting out a Halloween movie in the middle of the summer, but it was Disney. What wrong could Disney do at that point? It had the guy from Erie, Indiana, Omri Katz, Thora Birch, who I think was like the childlike empress, if I'm not mistaken.
It did open against Jurassic Park, I will say, too.
Yeah,
there's like a stacked ass cast. For this
it
was
first one.
Oh yeah, and it's one of those things that like I said, I remember going to the theater, and I can't remember how old I was at the time. So I might have brought one of my junior high girlfriends to this movie or not. I'm not 100% sure. But I remember going into it and having a really, really fun time. And went in, saw it, had a fantastic time with it, left the theater smiling, wonderful. But the thing is, I don't remember it becoming big until years later. I didn't hear a lot of people talk about it being rented. I think it showed up on TV.
Yeah, it became a cult following.
Yeah, I don't remember it showing up a lot on TV in Canada, but I think on the Disney Channel it would obviously get replayed a lot during the Halloween season. And since this time, there's been a lot of YouTube videos that have dived deep into the history of this movie. Like, I know horror director and writer Mick Garris was involved at one point from an early draft, but so much so he's still credited in this. Yeah. But this was a very surprisingly fun movie that watching it again, literally just moments before we started recording, I just finished my 1000th watch through of it. So much so, I like this movie enough that I went out and bought the 4K for my wife last year when it finally got released. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I'm honestly surprised how well it holds up. And it holds up in some surprising ways against its sequel, but we'll get to that. So I'm going to throw things over to Dave. When did you first see this and what were your initial experiences with it?
So, Hocus Pocus was a movie that came to me solely because of what a huge fan my grandmother was of it. And is of it still to this day. But she loved this movie. And I mean, and this is when my sister and I were both pretty young. My sister's 3 years older than I am. So, I mean, it would have probably had to been between the ages of like 4 and 5-ish, I would say, probably is when it kind of came into my ether. Um, it was a movie that this was a movie that was when it was on TV, like we scheduled time to watch it and whatnot, like, or in some cases we would record it. I have memories of her having a recording of it, and right at the point when Danny is kidnapped along with the book is stolen, and the house like has that explosion happen, I pushed something wrong on the VCR and the tape ate itself. So I have memory of that forever with that. But it was a movie that came to me solely between, like I said, 4 and 5-ish, and has stuck with me since. I have personally hosted screenings of this at the theater here in Troy when it used to be up and running. I have watched this movie probably once every October for the last, I would say, probably last 20 years or so. There's a few years in there that I've missed, but this is one that I always have in the rotation. I've made friends because of this movie, and genuinely what has surprised me with this movie is overall the expansion of how far it went from 93 to 2003, because everybody kind of credits 2003 with it being the year that it kind of exploded and kind of became the thing that you always saw on Freeform and the Disney Channel and all this stuff. So
I think it was probably the same thing that happened with the Goofy movie. They did like some stupid thing at D23 and then they went, wait, this is a cultural thing for people. We can make money.
No, I mean, I remember it was very tough for a while to get merchandise for it. Because I remember I got Fright Rags. Fright Rags put up an order. Yeah, they put up an order for a shirt because it was the first time I'd ever seen a Hocus Pocus shirt. So immediately I grabbed it, and that was back in like 2015. So now you go into Spirit, and I mean, I even said that in my Letterboxd review today. You go into Spirit, and this is the #1 most merchandised movie at a Spirit Halloween here in the States. So I mean, it has always been a cultural phenomenon for the factor. I mean, because I along with preparing for the show, I watched the 2018 25th anniversary special that Freeform did. That was reuniting the cast and all the stuff. This movie just created an iconic sense of Halloween that has never been touched by anything else. Like, Christmas has, It's a Wonderful Life and sometimes A Christmas Carol. Halloween has Hocus Pocus and John Carpenter's Halloween. And that's really about the two that you have that have this much notoriety.
I would say Nightmare Before Christmas is up there too, but pretty much.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, I'm not wrong about that.
And Ken, what about you?
For me, I didn't. Again, this was 93, so both me and Dave were only 2 years old at the time that this thing came out. But it came to me when it was kind of starting to get its... Disney was starting to realize it had a cult status and started putting it out there, and I eventually caught it on cable at some point. And I'm like, no, this is a fun little film. I didn't revisit it in forever until doing prep for this, and I'm like, I forgot how many people moved on to do other big shit after this. Like I would recognize the most random side characters. I'm like, I know you from somewhere. Where do I know you from? Oh, you were in a movie like 2 years ago that was really significant. And it definitely stands, a lot of them stand out as like, oh, this is a lot of, I can do 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon with some of these cast members and start connecting dots. with, oh, you're from, I can pull you from here and you from here, and I can start like playing, connect the dots with some of the cast.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing how much of a big Star Trek connection both of these movies have. Because Doug Jones, that's Saru from Star Trek Discovery, which is pretty cool. That's also Abe Sapien from Hellboy. Oh,
yeah.
Yep.
Doug Jones is a Doug Jones is A+. He's one of the greatest.
No, he's one of the greatest creature actors of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a man that completely moved into his craft and moved into it well, and has exceeded to so many lengths with the characters that he's portrayed. And I mean, as Billy Butcherson in this movie alone is so memorable. But I mean, there's just so many memorable things about this first movie that, like you said, you were surprised at how well it held up. Even though it's dated, it's still topical to this day.
It is a timeless kind of messaging. It has timeless messaging, and I think that's why it is held up for so long with so many people and so many generations of people.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Would you like me to give the pertinent deets, Birdman?
Loop, absolutely, because I think you did this before. I'm almost positive. So yeah, hit me.
All right, so we're talking about Hocus Pocus from 1993, 1 hour and 36 minutes, rated PG for some thematic elements, and this film stars Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Najimy, Amiri Katz, Thora Birch, Vanessa Shaw, Doug Jones, as we mentioned. It is directed by Kenny Ortega, and writers on the film are David Kirshner, Mick Garris for story and screenplay, and we also have Neil Cuthbert. I will say, in watching the 25th anniversary special, they did mention that this was a story that Kirshner had kind of told his young children, and he had been working for Disney at the time, so he kind of took it to Disney. That's when they wrote up the first screenplay for what was called Disney's Haunted House, or Halloween House. And according to Mick Garris, it was way more of a darker and scarier version. And then they came in and kind of cleaned it up a little bit more. But
I think that
overall,
was
with
when
this,
yeah,
go ahead.
If I remember correctly, Kenny Ortega is like an uncredited writer on this.
Yes, you are correct.
Yes.
Yeah, I think what is really interesting about Hocus Pocus is, even though we say the thing about how they kind of lightened it up, this is a really dark story. I mean, this is genuinely like a pretty dark story for a Disney film.
Yeah, if you think about what transpires in this movie, you go like, oh, that's pretty dark.
Three witches are literally trying to take all the lives of children in the town of Salem so that they can keep living and be beautiful. I mean, they're literally kidnapping children and sucking the souls out of them. Not to mention, while this is also going on, that like you have a whole background element of probably the most times the word virgin has ever been said in a Disney film.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was rewatching that. I'm thinking, man, they're really hammering that point home. Like I was saying to Blair, it's like, I wonder how many conversations in the car on the way home where someone said, "Mom, Dad, what's a virgin?" And yeah, I was like, okay. One thing I also picked up on this, and this is my inner D&D dork coming to the surface. I don't know what you would call the Sanderson sisters by definition witches. I would call them warlocks, actually, because, and this is such a dorky thing that I picked up on, but where the guy comes out of the costume party dressed as Satan, and they're like, "Oh, look, it's Master!" And they're talking to him, and just it's
that is the late great Gary Marshall with his wife Penny Marshall, mind you.
Yes,
the creator of Happy Days.
Didn't she direct Wayne's World too?
No, Penny Marshall directed. Oh shit! We're putting
Postcards from the
Hang
Edge.
on. Maybe, yeah, I think that does sound right. 2 seconds.
Yeah,
I just know her as I think she was also the creator of Laverne, or well, she's on Laverne and Shirley, obviously, but
yeah.
But she's the director of Big.
Big, okay,
yes,
okay.
That's what it was.
So just from the way that they're talking,
and League of Their Own,
and I was like, you know what? They have more in common with a warlock as they have like a patron, and it definitely gets reinforced in the second one where they meet the witch who says, "If you want to do this, you must do X, Y, Z." I'm thinking that's a lot like a demonic pact with a patron. So either way, I'm quibbling, and she uses Eldritch Blast. So I'm like, okay, fine. But yeah, that's something that I kind of noticed. And the bullying in this movie is kind of hysterical.
It's really
Yeah.
like it's very tame for what we've gotten used to with movie bullies. I think the overall fact that like they end up in cages, and that's literally how the movie ends, is with them in cages. And even on that the anniversary special, when they brought them out for the reunion, they were still in the cages. And they're like, okay, I think it's time to let these guys out.
But like, I noticed the guy that plays Ice. I'm like, I know you from somewhere. Where the fuck do I know you from?
He's in a lot of stuff.
And then I looked at his IMDb, and I'm just like, holy shit! I've seen a lot of his stuff.
What else has he
Well,
been in?
the guy that plays Jay is in Stranger Things, mind you, too.
Yes, that too.
Who is he in Stranger Things?
What's his name? Hang on here. It's Tobias Jelinek is his name, and he was the lead agent in.
Probably season 4, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think it's season 4. Let me check here. And he's also just recently on Monster. He's going to play Richard Speck, apparently. Let's see. On Stranger Things, he is. Goddamn. It is season 1.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
he's lead
random.
agent in season 1.
Like, one of the things I noticed about Hocus Pocus tonight watching it, and it's something that will come up when we talk about the sequel. The thing that I think makes this movie so enduring and literally timeless, this has some of the strongest charisma from a child's movie I've seen in a really long time. Like, Omni Katz literally owns every scene he's in. Thora Birch is enduringly cute, sassy. She works with the scene but doesn't steal it. And what I mean by that is there's a scene where they're up in his I can't remember the character's name. Max's room, and she's on the bed going, "Ooh, you want to kiss Allison?" And just like, it feels so natural, like these kids literally grew up together.
Yeah. There's a reason Thora Birch is still acting today.
Yeah,
the brother sister element between Danny and Max is so sweet. And as I told you guys in the chat that I'll announce here, I read in preparation for this show, I read the novelization that they put out, and I think it was 2018, that has a novelization of the first movie, and then it has a sequel to the movie that we didn't get as the actual sequel. So when we talk about that, I'll talk about that a little bit more. But one thing I really liked about the novelization, because overall it was pretty paint by numbers. It was pretty much most of the story that you knew before if you've seen the movie many times. But one thing I really did like is there were a couple scenes added with Allison and Max, and Allison did not pull back on the fact that she really took into Max simply for how he reacted with Danny and how he really showed care for her and whatnot. And that's one thing that when watching the movie today, you pick up on. I mean, literally the one point in the movie, the climax is, they've made the final potion that she has left, and she's going to try and take Danny's soul, Winifred is, and Max literally grabs the vial, put her down or I'll smash it, and she dies, and he just drinks that vial and says, now you have no choice, you got to take me. I mean, he literally sacrifices himself for his sister. So I think their relationship in this is one of the sweetest things to watch. Even early on, when she's like, you got to take me trick-or-treating, he's like, no, I don't. And she's like, well, I'm going to tell Mom. And then there's the whole thing of her running into the bullies and making him humiliated, and he's all, collect your candy, get out of my life. And then she runs off, and he, sits with her, and he's like, I hate it here. She's like, well, this is your home now, so get used to it. And, he's just like, you're right. Like, my sister's actually got a voice of reason. And you see him kind of come over on this, and then lo and behold, they bump into Allison in the next scene. I think their charisma, their chemistry, whatever you want to call it, is so sweet and comes off as brother and sister so much that you invest in this friendship, relationship, whatever you want to call it, which is, I think, Birdman, what you said previously in your Letterboxd review for 2, what the second movie lacks. There is so much chemistry between these characters here, which is what makes this movie so strong.
Yeah, like, it's one of the things that I'm noticing as I start to review movies casually more now, but again, it's weird. It's different when I review a movie and I'm like, hey, here are the special features on the disc, blah, 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 whatever.
you're building your repertoire, as
Yeah.
it were.
Like, I'm noticing casting, when a movie's cast well, it brings something else. Now, the example I used to use was Andrea Romano from DC animated stuff, because all those voices work so well within the cast. But when I look at certain live action movies, particularly children's movies, if you don't get the casting right, it's either going to become a classic or it's forgotten. This is a movie you will talk about after you watch it, whereas the sequel, you leave the theater, you're in the car on the way home, what's for dinner? It's not memorable outside of maybe one or two sequences. Whereas this one, it's got so much going for it that it's genuinely really amusing. And to speak about some of the other casting, to speak about the Sanderson sisters, obviously Bette Midler, a powerhouse. What more can I really say about her? Wonderful singing voice, amazing comedic timing,
chewing the scenery.
Oh yeah, she's like
all
fucking
three of them
Captain
are.
Kirk. Oh yeah,
one of my favorite things to do in any future watches of Hocus Pocus lately have been just keep an eye on Sarah. Watch what Sarah's doing in the background, because Sarah Jessica Parker is just having a field day with this role. One of my favorites is the Burning Rain of Death. Yeah, go ahead.
This was one of her more. This was like probably one of her more first like adult roles. Like if I think about it, because she.
No, I mean. She comes from, I think, Girls Just Want to Have Fun in like the mid '80s, and then
Flight of the Navigator.
That was like more
Flight of the Navigator,
teeny.
So
stuff.
yeah, I mean this might have been one of the bigger ones. I mean, because it's not too long after this that she'll pick up Sex and the City. I think like 4 or 5 years later.
Which is weird.
Sex and the City was 2008. So
what was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was that late. I thought it was like maybe early.
That might have been the movie.
That movie. Yeah. Like I've seen Sarah Jessica Parker in
Sex and the City's 98.
I've seen 4 episodes of the show. Couldn't stand it. I've seen Flight of the Navigator, obviously, and I've seen this. And this is not an indictment on her. I can't say that I hate her, but I could say this is the movie where I think she's the most enjoyable. Mostly because you're right. She's having fun. She's goofing off, but it works and it never seems out of character or over the top. Like there's a scene where they're in the house and she's just drinking the sprinkler. She's like, how refreshing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. When the Burning Rain of Death, and she's just like, like there's that going on. But what's even funnier is, like we all look at her as the background character. She's actually the one that brings all the children in to have their lives suck. Like she's literally the force that summons everything. So it's kind of funny that you think of her as kind of like the comedic relief when actually that's kind of Mary. I mean, Mary's the one that's riding a vacuum in the first movie and then riding Roombas in the second movie. Yeah, Sarah's definitely quirky and whatnot, but like Mary's kind of more of the slapstick one and the fiend off one where, Winifred is in the moment and in your face. But what's funny and what makes this movie so sellable, because like we mentioned, it's so dark, is because they're goofballs. Yeah, they're witches, but they're also kind of bad at their jobs.
They're the Three Stooges.
Yeah, like they're not an overwhelming like Thanos level threat. Like yeah, they're scary. They're gonna kill people. Eventually, like they're going to get to it, but they're so over the top where they would fuck up on timing. They're like, we're going to destroy you. Even
in their prologue, even in the beginning of this movie, as we see the setup for the movie, basically, which is the Sanderson sisters have kidnapped Emily Binks. They're going to suck the life out of her. Her brother Thackeray comes, and he ends up getting caught by them and turned into Thackeray Binks the cat that we know. But the whole thing that happens in between this is Emily dies. They suck the life out of her, become beautiful, and then the villagers swarm and hang them. I mean, that's literally the setup in your Disney movie in the first 10 minutes. So, I mean, you have this whole setup of the witches even then. And when you first see them, they're pretty horrifying in this. And we don't see that version of them the rest of this movie. So the initial look of them, those are witches. And then once they suck that life out of Emily, they stay the same, kind of beautiful, hideous sense the whole rest of the movie. And then we never see them as witches again. Even in the second movie, there's never anything that makes them look like, more phased out or evil than they do in that initial opening. So I've always found that fascinating that the movie does really start with them looking horrifying. And then
It's-
once they become beautiful from sucking that life, they stay there the rest of the series, basically.
Yeah, it's probably the one element that was kept from the darker tone.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Like, that opening sequence is probably the only thing that was kept from the original screenplay.
Yeah, I'd be very curious to see what Mick Garris's original looked like. And I want to say Joe Blow did a really good video on this like a couple of years ago, but I'm not
there's been deep
100% sure.
dives.
Yeah.
There've been multiple deep dives with multiple people.
But yeah,
one thing I did find out today
Mhm.
that I thought was fascinating real quick was in regards to working with a cat. Obviously, there's a computer animated cat when it's talking, but as far as working with a real life cat, they had buzzers. These cats were trained by buzzers that the actors would click and then they'd hop on their shoulder and then they'd run into the scene. Like there's clips of that from the 25th anniversary special. So they were really working with all kinds of wire working. They were working with animal trainers. They had the early computer generated effects, all this stuff. And, the movie literally tanked when it came out. Like they released it in July, comes out against fucking Jurassic Park.
Yeah, it didn't. It barely broke even.
I mean, we don't know what the advertising campaign was, and I guarantee they threw a lot behind this one.
I mean,
I seem to recall quite a bit of advertising for this movie.
So it was a $28 million budget. At the end of the day, its gross was 46. So maybe broke even, maybe not, kind of thing.
From what everybody says in the cast and crew, it was pretty much a bomb. Even Kenny Ortega said that. So, I mean, I love the fact that you have this resurgence that happens in 2003 and everything takes over, and then you start having a reappraisal of the movie. There's been books written on this movie now to the point of people dissecting it and whatnot. I've actually read a couple, and I mean, there's a lot here. But I think overall, what I've always loved about Hocus Pocus, it's a movie for everybody. It has a little bit of something for everyone in it, it feels like.
And it's a fun Halloween film to sit a kid down and watch.
Yeah, like it's safe, it's non-threatening, but it has just if the kid is into movies, they're gonna have a good time. Like there's nothing here that's bad or boring. It's funny. My wife was saying to me, like, I remember when the Sean Murray, the kid that plays Thackeray, he's like, oh yeah, I had a crush on him kind of growing up. And when I think
that dude has looked the same for decades.
And now he's in like NCIS or something.
Yeah, he's one of the long-running NCIS cast members.
And the girl that played Allison, like she's that classy beauty that comes out of the 90s with like the teenage girls that came in like a lot of the 90s movies. So I think of Hocus Pocus, I think of Ladybugs, stuff like that, where there's like a certain look to the girls. They don't look overly, I don't know. I don't want to say fake because that's very mean sounding, but there's just like I said, there's something there for everybody.
I got to shout out props to the late great Kathleen Freeman, who plays the teacher in the classroom. That's doing the Sanderson sisters lesson.
Yep.
I've always loved her, but like the fact that she is literally doing this class dressed as a witch and like throwing freaking streamer at one point, like as a joke and everything. I've loved that opening because it just kind of shows that like, oh yeah, like this is absolutely that kind of movie where it's like we're in Salem and naturally Salem would embrace everything with witches, even though, they did horrible fucking things to them.
Yeah. But yeah, like there was just a lot about this movie that I really enjoyed, and I loved going through the backgrounds. I was just looking for costumes. I'm thinking, well, Disney holds the license to so many things. Like, I'm really surprised there's not more licensed characters. However, in the background, I did spot Sonic the Hedgehog, which Sonic 2 would have come out around 92 or 91, I want to say. I spotted a Tron character in the scene in the City Hall. I guess they're all having a dance.
I'm sure that was probably the production designer or even Kenny Ortega himself. That was
yeah. Did you spot Michael Myers when Winifred scares him off in the Devil's House?
Yes, I did actually.
Yeah, no, I've always loved that.
So there's so many fun little Easter eggs in the movie like that, and despite this movie, like they clearly explicitly say, oh, what year is this? Oh, it's 1993. Oh, even 300 years. It feels weirdly timeless in its own little way. Like it exists in this perfect bubble where like you're not saying, well, why don't you just use a cell phone? Why don't you just use a computer? No, like the time frame almost has nothing to do with anything other than it's a one-off line, and that's how long they've been. It's just merely to establish timeline. I was thinking, you don't find many kids movies that are timeless like that. Like there are some timeless movies where they mention a year, but it's unimportant. I would say Ghostbusters is one, and the Terminator movies, right? Other than the fact they're establishing timeline and it needs to happen at the specific time. With this, didn't need to happen in 93.
Would you like me to blow your mind with something that we have spoken about previously that is true fact and is confirmed by IMDb, but also if you watch the movie, you know. In 2011, they just took the Hocus Pocus script and put a new little fresh coat of paint on it with puppies and called it Spooky Buddies, because Airbud entry Spooky Buddies is Hocus Pocus with the buddies, and I'm not kidding.
Is there anything that those buddies don't destroy in your life, Dave?
Listen, I was talking to my roommate earlier today about the Airbud cinematic universe once again, and said again how I appreciate Spooky Buddies and Space Buddies, because anytime that somebody went like, oh, let's just do Armageddon but throw some dogs in it, I'm in. Sure, let's go ahead and just do that.
By the way, Mike, so I just did a quick scan of the production designer for Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
This dude's a friggin' boss. He is the production designer for fucking RoboCop.
Oh my god. That's amazing.
He did Air Force One, Small Soldiers, Deep Blue Sea, Perfect Storm, Master and Commander. Yeah.
God damn. We have to find a reason to talk about Small Soldiers. I fucking love that movie.
Give me any reason. I love that movie too. You want to know what the cinematographer Hiro Narita shot besides Hocus Pocus?
What else?
So we also have, and I quote, we have Subdown, which is a 1997 direct-to-video action movie, James and the Giant Peach, The Arrival with Charlie Sheen, White Fang 2, Star Trek 4, The Undiscovered Country, or excuse me, Star Trek 6, The Rocketeer, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and I think those are pretty much most of the main titles. Now, that's not to say, though, that they also were not second camera on Apocalypse Now.
Wow.
Yeah. And second unit on the Time Machine, the really bad Time Machine remake from 2002.
I mean, it's kind of like outstanding just to see how a movie can go to theaters and, like you said, it'll just flop, it'll disappear, maybe it'll show up on rental stores. People start talking. And eventually it gets reevaluated and rediscovered like a decade later or whatever. I'm really glad this happened with this movie. And I know, obviously, we've mentioned so many of these people have gone on to so many bigger and better things, or they're steadily working. Some people have not. I know Omri, I'm pretty sure he's vastly retired from Hollywood. I recently found out Catherine Najimy, that's Peggy Hill from King of the Hill. I was like, really? So that kind of blew my mind. And I got to say, the reboot season on Hulu or Disney Plus, surprisingly good. I've
heard it's fantastic. I need to dive into it. I've heard it's fantastic.
Again, King of the Hill has aged like fine fucking wine.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of outstanding. So,
well, and also just to give a last minute shout out to another person we lost, I think, because I love him in this movie, Charles Rocket, who plays Max's dad. He's also Nicholas from Dumb and Dumber, the main villain. So I've loved that guy ever since, and I love him in this movie. So just throwing a shout out to him.
That's awesome. I mean, like I said, I'm really glad we all sat down, and I'm really glad, Dave, that you pitched this as an idea, because when me and Blair were watching this literally just before we came on air for this movie, it's the perfect length. It knows exactly how to hold your attention. It's fun. It's memorable. It is everything a classic movie for this time of year should be, and it's just chef's kiss, no notes, absolutely worth watching. Now, the second movie, Hocus Pocus 2, because I want to hear, Dave, what you got into it with some of the notes for this. So,
Yeah.
So gather your thoughts. So
Yeah.
I watched this with Blair the night that it premiered. And we were pretty excited for this because we're like, hey, we saw the advertisements. We've been following the production stills throughout the year. Cool. All right. A little weird and late, but Hollywood likes to dig up the corpse of old properties and see what happens. Sometimes you strike gold. Sometimes you hit a sewer line. And originally, I didn't like this going into it. Like, I thought, like, that's derivative. That's lame. This is fucking stupid. And while I was watching this movie, I like it more the second time around. And the thing that I noticed immediately, especially when you watch these back to back, it's something that I mentioned in my Letterboxd review and Dave has alluded to, is the chemistry between the lead kids in this movie is not as strong as Omri, Katz, and Thora Birch. It's just not there. And it's not that the characters are not likable. They are. It's just, I said this to Blair, these are the type of people you run into in the doctor's office. She's like, what do you mean by that? And I said, they're fun, they're pleasant to talk to, but they're what I call single serving friends. You meet them in a public place or on an airplane, you have a conversation, you have a few laughs, and you go about your business, and by the time you're done your business, you forget who they were. And
it's Disney Channel level acting.
Yeah, and it's nothing against them. It's just like they're not as memorable as they could be. And that's the thing. You're right. This feels very, very made for TV-esque. This would not.
I mean, it technically was made for TV.
Yeah, I mean, it was made for streaming specifically because this was like was this supposed to be like a COVID comfort, basically?
I think so. Because
that was the idea.
Like, this would not succeed on its own in theaters. Now, if you did this as a double bill special with the original Hocus Pocus, with maybe like a fun song in the middle as the intermission after the credits, then yeah, this may have some legs as a movie on its own. I don't know.
I mean, spoilers. They're making a third one, and it's
are they? Because I've not heard much about it. Because it got greenlit and then nothing. Oh, is it filming?
Yeah, supposedly it's filming.
Shit. Okay.
I actually looked into that, so I can't find a reliable source. The closest thing we found, I think Blair found this with some digging from me, is there was a quote from Sarah Jessica Parker saying they were talking about it and having conversations. If they were doing something with it, my guess is we probably would have seen something right now, at least a production still.
I mean, IMDb does say it is in production, so I will say that.
We'll see. Yeah.
I mean, like, look, the odds are it'll probably come out next Halloween.
If they're doing it at all, yeah.
If they're doing it, we'll see it next Halloween.
Yeah.
And it'll go straight to Disney Plus, if not do like a small theatrical run.
Which I really think they should do, because one of the coolest things I've ever seen done, again, side tangent, but last year, Shudder, which is a streaming service available around the world, they showed VHS Beyond in theaters for like a week.
Well, Shudder does that with a lot of their stuff.
I mean, technically, that's how they did Clown in the Cornfield. Clown in the Cornfield wasn't technically a wide release; it was a Shudder release.
Yeah, they do that. Legitimately, Mike, here in the States, like, they do that a lot with all of their stuff.
I've seen Clown in a Cornfield. I think it was in theaters up here for like maybe 2 weeks.
I saw the last one I saw was their It's a Wonderful Life, but a slasher movie.
It's a Wonderful Knife. Yeah, we saw that in theaters too.
That's crazy. I mean, but I think having Hocus Pocus make it event cinema, and I think you'd have a really good time. I'm not saying it's going to recapture like the Wicked crowd with people seeing Gravity in the theater and dressing up, but I could see a certain portion of the population doing that.
I mean, it's
fun.
They're probably if Disney was smart, they'd probably do like a small theatrical run like they did with Young Woman's Sea, which was a year or two ago. They did like a small theatrical run, very short. It was like maybe it was like maybe 3 weeks at most, and then it went straight to Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can see them doing that. Like do it for the month of October and then maybe drop it on Disney Plus like the week after Halloween.
The one thing that I heard that people were curious about, and again, I don't know how much this holds water, but I think the whole idea of a prequel series with the Sanderson sisters was something that I think it was like a 6 episode or something that was discussed early on that never came to fruition. And I almost think that might be better than doing a third, because I feel like the thing that I really have issue with this second movie is we're doing the same movie. We're doing the first movie over again, but we're leaning heavily on the nostalgia of that first movie.
I mean, you can, and also just like the whole you can backdoor pilot into a series because we have the young versions of these characters in the movie.
Yeah.
Which there's something to say about the young Sanderson sisters in this. They're on screen for less than 5 minutes, but they make a fucking impression. The girl who plays the young Winifred, holy shit. I want to know more about that character. She's funny. She's got spunk. She's got that charisma. That is a star right there, because even just a little bit she was in, it was great.
Yeah, looking at her IMDb, she's only done 2 other things, and they were guest stars on TV shows, long-running TV shows.
Yeah, she deserves a lot more. And like even the other people who play like Sarah and Mary, they're
that's
funny.
That's who she was. She was she did a voice in the English dub for the Goro Miyazaki's Earwig and the Witch. She was the main character of that. That's where I recognize her voice from.
Oh, I can see that. I've heard that. I've heard that's a really good. I haven't had a chance to see it yet.
I mean,
but yeah,
Goro, I like Goro as a director. Sue me.
But yeah, there's the thing about Hocus Pocus 2. There's a lot of really clever gags in this, like a lot. Like
absolutely.
Like the Roomba thing, that's pretty friggin' funny.
And it pays off. Like the Roomba thing is not just a sight gag. It comes back and like has actual play multiple times in the movie. So like I really appreciate that aspect of it, because it's not just like the sight gag of initially like the vacuum flying off on the vacuum in the first movie.
Yeah, like it's something that again I didn't pick up until the second watch through yesterday. Watched it again. Oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like for a year, I thought, or for 2, like I didn't realize this movie came out in 2022. I thought it came out last year. So this movie exists in like a weird time warp for me. I thought the Roombas. I thought it was a hoverboard. I didn't realize they were 2 separate entities. I'm thinking, okay, that's
I thought they spent way more time in Walgreens, to be honest. And then when I was watching
same.
today, I was just like, oh, actually, we're really not in there that long. I mean, it is definitely an odd addition to the movie. I think it's funny today watching it because I was just like, the
Walgreens paid us some money.
Exactly. No, it is absolutely that. I mean, it is, you know, it is a, what is it, a brand? I can't think of the phrasing for it.
Brand integration.
Marketing. Yeah, something like that. But no, like I think that was one of the things that, going back to it, I was just like, okay, this is actually a pretty fun movie. It does not have that feel of the first movie 100%, but the Sanderson sisters, Bette Midler, Kathy Najimy, Sarah Jessica Parker, they knew the assignment and they went full tilt on it. And do I dislike the musical numbers in this? The Witch is Back in one way or another. I'm not a big fan of them. But at the same time, the musical number of I Put a Spell on You obviously is one of the most memorable things of that first movie. So I understand why they did it. It just feels
It
like a
also
really
helped.
odd lean in when they first are summoned and now they come back singing the witch is back. Whereas the whole the whole build up to the come little children I'll take you away in the background, love that. I think that's super creepy. It's
I
like that whole
mean,
sign of oh shit they're coming.
to be fair, the director of this one is the director of
Step Up, 27
Step
Dresses,
Up,
and
The
Fletcher
Proposal.
is a pretty decent director, but it's interesting to take a rom-com director primarily and give her this property because I don't know, like I mean,
Well,
it
to be
doesn't
fair,
feel like
she was more of a choreographer for a lot of her career. Like she has
yeah,
way
that
more
makes sense.
choreographer credits than she is a director.
But I will say that her directing credits are good. I think Anne
Oh
Fletcher.
yeah,
I think she was an interesting name to assign to this project in regards of who you could have attached to it at this time. Because I mean, the first thing that we got to say, or not first thing, but the biggest thing we got to say is everybody has been pitching a Hocus Pocus sequel for a long time. I mean, a long, like even early 2000s, it was something that was like could be a possibility.
At least during as soon as it started getting a resurgence.
Well, I vehemently remember there was a fucking fan poster that was going around all over social media for a while. That was the witches in New York. Like I saw that poster so many times, and people were like, "Oh man, Hocus Pocus 2 is coming." It's like, no, it's fucking not. That is a fan poster. So when we actually got a sequel, I was completely shocked. And as I mentioned previously, I read the novelization for the one that they got released in 2018. Completely different story. In 2018, it's Allison and Max's daughter, Poppy, that is living in Salem. Max is a history teacher at the high school. Jay is the fucking principal at the high school, and his daughter is one of Poppy's biggest bullies. Long story short, they end up going to the Sanderson house with a spirit board and end up resurrecting the Sanderson sisters. They get turned, one of them gets turned into an animal, and they basically have to fight them with the help of Aunt Danny and Max and Allison. So it's kind of a rehash of that first movie, like I mentioned, the one thing that's kind of, I feel lazy. But in the novel, it was a lot of fun to have those characters back, I will say.
One thing that I had a thought about this. So they introduced this character of Gilbert the Great, who is this
Sam Richardson is so good in this movie.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. I like him, but I think he's misplaced. This is what I mean by that. So they show him in 1993. He saw the witches, and for some reason he's enamored by them, and he wants to help bring them back to Earth. Reasons. Okay, I'm fine with that. What bothered me, it's not the inclusion of the character, but who the character should have been. That character, in my opinion, should have been Henry and Ice, because they had the history with the Sanderson sisters, whereas they're just introducing just this random new character. It would have been nice had the Ice, who was trapped in that cage for 30 years or whatever, if you had him thinking this traumatized him so much that's why he's assisting bringing them back. So he's choosing to guard this house because he's all messed up or something. But that, I was like, when I saw the original today, I was like, why wasn't Gilbert Ice or his buddy? That would have been a nice callback and a way to bring back more original cast from the first one. And again, I really like the guy who plays Gilbert. He's hysterical. He's got great comedic timing. Yeah. It feels
Sam
fun.
Richardson's a great actor, period.
He's a great actor. He's hilarious. My biggest issue with this movie vehemently is the treatment of how the ending comes about with Winifred.
It's way too fast.
Well, not even that. I don't like the fact that we have to shift sympathies to, I mean, like she has always cared about her sisters. That has never been anything that's been argued. You could say that, she definitely treats them a little rough sometimes and whatnot, but she does love her sisters. So this whole concept of basically Hocus Pocus 2 is that she comes back wanting to get into this spell called Magna Magica or something like that. It's basically like the ultimate witch spell. And she is warned by the elder witch when she is a child with her sisters to never cast the spell. Book doesn't like this spell. She even has to cast a spell on Book for him to stay open, for her to read the spell. And then when she casts the spell, it is basically taking everything you love in exchange for ultimate power. So she watches her sisters completely vanish into dust. So then there's this whole thing of her being like, well, I didn't want this. And then she turns over to our main characters and is just like, can you help me? It's just a really like I understand I understand the sympathetic point of it, and I understand like where it comes from. It's just a really weird turn for the Sanderson sisters lore in this movie, in my opinion. And that was one of the biggest issues I had and still kind of do have, but I've softened up on it because I still think the movie is a lot of fun. And if there's a legacy sequel done right, I feel like it is this one.
Yeah. I mean, the intent is there, but like I'm kind of with you on how fast and how weird the ending feels. So this like I do love the idea that now there's a new witch who again is using a lot of D&D coded spells. So that made my night. But it's just like it's too much, and when Becca, the young witch who has the power, says the power wasn't to bring them back, it's to send you to them. I'm thinking that's that's kind of poetic, and I kind of dig that because
I do like that. I do like that.
Like it doesn't redeem Winifred other than the fact that she has so much love and care for her sisters despite coming from an evil background. But that's the sign of a good villain. You're giving them an arc. But I don't see how she arrives to that arc outside of the couple minutes in the beginning of the movie.
We're missing some connection points.
Yeah, and like to what Dave said, having a prequel series could be really fun if you did it right. And you would build up these characters, give them the background, and make it interesting. Now, is that going to carry you for 5 seasons? Probably not. But a mini series of 5 to 6, I'd be fine. If you dropped 1 episode a week with a double length finale on Halloween, I think you'd have a solid Disney Plus winner.
I think if Disney was still pumping money into Disney Plus content like wholeheartedly, I would think that could have been a possibility.
Yeah.
In today's climate, I think they're gonna try. They're gonna try and get this third movie out and put it in theaters for a select period of time and see if they can make some money on it. But overall, it's probably
I don't see it going to theaters. I see it being an exclusive and being done. To be honest, I don't know. I feel like the audience for 2 spoke pretty loudly, and they were pretty much split of this is good or what the hell is this. I didn't see anybody like over the moon ecstatic about this movie, so I don't know if they really have a theatrical audience there for another sequel. But you can still pull in numbers with releasing the original in theaters, so maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, like I think a lot of the franchise is propelled by people in my age bracket and to a lesser extent your guys' age bracket that has nostalgia. Would it succeed at a wide box office? Probably not.
No.
However, if you make it event cinema for a weekend or 2 in October, I think you'd see some surprising returns on it. But I know with theaters you have to pay so much to book it for so long. It has to get so many shows.
Well, it's also Disney.
Yeah, and it's Disney.
Disney strong arms theatrical releases a lot.
Yeah,
it's just how they run.
Yeah, so I mean the sequel, I wouldn't call it bad, but it's not memorable, and I think that's this thing's worst crime. We have 30-something years of build up and expectation, and this is what we get. While we get some funny moments like them drinking revitalized cream in Walgreens. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, Walgreens, like I said, the Walgreens stuff was funnier this time around. Like I will say that rewatching it this time, having not watched it after 3 years, it did hit better for me this time.
I think Hocus Pocus 2 is a 7 out of 10 if you're enjoying a lot of the gags. Probably a 6 out of 10 if you're finding it insufferable. And then the first one is a solid 8 or a 9.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I gave the first one a 4 on Letterboxd and this one a 3.5. I think Hocus Pocus 2 is definitely still watchable. I think there's some really fun things there, but I also think you really kind of made a mistake not investing in the denizens coming back against the witches. I think that was kind of a mishap on this.
Yeah, like I wanted more than member berries. I wanted something a little more cohesive. And like I said, there's some wonderful side actors. And it's like Tony Hale, randomly Buster Bluth is the mayor. That's kind of funny.
No, he's great. And honestly, Doug Jones returning as Billy Butcherson. Billy
Yeah.
Butcherson and Gilbert's stuff together is really fun.
I have a feeling a lot of that might have been ad-libbed.
Oh yeah.
It's entirely possible.
Because again, I just get the vibe because it's entirely too natural to be funny, and that's kind of what I dig about it. But yeah, I mean, if they do something more with this franchise, take the time to do it right. I mean, if you're gonna involve everybody again, like bringing back Bet, Sarah, and Catherine, sure, but I don't know. Like, I don't want to see them mine the franchise for nothing. I want to have a fun time, but I feel because Hocus Pocus 2 came out in 2022, I don't know whether they're under the clock of strike while the iron's hot. I don't know whether there's exactly a huge group of people clamoring for a sequel, whereas it would be cool if it happened, but I don't see the internet lighting on fire demanding it like right now, so to speak. So I guess, guys, conclusion on this franchise. What do we think as a whole? Dave, let's go with you.
I mean, Hocus Pocus will always be a timeless classic. As far as the first movie goes, it is untouchable. It is the Halloween time staple, as I've already mentioned previously. The second one, I genuinely do find some very fun things inside of it. I think it is a fun movie overall with enjoyable moments and jokes and decent humor. Also, a very astute sense of knowing where the original, where you came from with the original, and it does pay homage to the original with a lot of the Sanderson sister jokes and the overall affinity that the town has to the Sanderson sisters now, 30 years later. I think it's really cute. Both movies as a whole, I think, are still a good time. I think Hocus Pocus 2 is absolutely a step down from the first one, but I think it's hard to match up to how great that first movie is. But the second one, if you watched it when it came out and you weren't super impressed with it, maybe go back and give it another shot. Or if you didn't even check it out when it came out, maybe go back and check it out now and just, maybe take your own point from that. I think both movies have a lot of Halloween fun lore to them. And overall, I think you can't go wrong busting them out anytime in October. I think they're kind of perfect for that, even if one is lesser than the other. And if you haven't seen the 25th anniversary special, which is also on Disney Plus here in the States at least, it's a really, really cool thing to check out to see where the pop culture zeitgeist was with this, not even just 7 years ago for that matter, and probably where it's at now. So, I mean, it's pretty crazy to see a cultural phenomenon come from a bomb like this and become one of the quintessential Halloween films that everybody is catching on TV or busting their Blu-ray disc out every October. So, as a whole, I think the movies are a solid little double feature. As a standalone film with the original, you can't get any better than Hocus Pocus.
100%. All right, and Ken?
I mean, again, the first one surprisingly held up. The second one is just kind of okay. Like, it feels very TV movie. It's one of those harmless watches. It didn't blow me out of the water, but it was like, there's some good jokes. I chuckled here and there, and kind of that's what you expect for a direct to streaming movie. So it did its job. Whether it deserved its supposed budget is a mystery.
I'd say for me, they're absolutely worth watching, and much like what Dave and Ken have said, they are a part of Halloween. And while one is clearly superior to the other one, you're not going to have a bad time watching either. I think they're both easily accessible for audiences. You definitely need to see the first one to see the second one to really get it, but you're still going to have a fun time. Wonderful sequences, wonderful sight gags in both. And like I said, I thoroughly enjoy both of them. I'm hoping for a bright future for this franchise to see where it goes. But if all we get is the 2 movies, I'm fine with it. Give me some more merchandise. I do have one of those mugs that says, "What a beautiful morning, it makes me sick." I got that from my wife last year. And I have a replica of book that I use for Dungeons and Dragons notes. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for us here on This Week in Geek. We probably got a couple more Halloween shows. We're talking about doing an examination of Beetlejuice and Beetlejuice. I'm sorry, I just summoned the asshole. Yeah, fuck. Bad.
I
Bad
don't
Michael
hate
Keaton.
Beetlejuice, but man, goddamn, if there was a disappointment in that movie.
Yeah, if there was a show that tasted like memberberry jam, that is it. So we will talk about that, I'm sure. Plus, like I said, we've got a few more things. We got the big Halloween show coming at the end of the month. Hopefully me, Alex, and Aaron will get together to do some additional stuff, but I will keep you guys posted on that. So that's going to do it for us. So from the great state of Ohio...
Come, little children, I'll take you to Troy. This is Dave the Noyer.
From New Jersey,
Ken from This Anime. I have nothing to say to that.
yeah, can't top that. So I'm Mike the Birdman. We'll catch you guys next time right here on thisweekingeek.net.
Are either one of these any good? Sir,
What?
are either one of these any good?
I don't watch movies.
Quick, change the channel.
You're wasting your life making shit! Nobody cares! These movies are terrible!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.